Started. All right. Oh man, Moses, I hope that your sister's okay. Thanks for letting us know. If you're able to, please put your cameras on. All right. Do I see Jalissa? I do see her. Jalissa, you are assistant instructor today. Do you mind unmuting yourself and saying hello?
Good morning, everyone.
How's your morning going so far?
I'm okay. I'm a bit tired, but
Hmm.
I'm good. I'm Gucci.
You're Gucci. I'm not sure what that means, but I'll just we'll roll with it.
How I
um,
say good.
It's how you say good. Okay, I'm glad to hear it's a positive thing. So, what are you if you're bad? Are you Versace?
No.
No, I think he's just dusty.
You're usually you're dusty.
Pretty much.
Okay, wow. I'm learning. I'm getting education. See, this is why Jalissa makes a great assistant instructor because she teaches me things that I don't know. Somewhere around like the age of like 25, like I stopped keeping up with things, like and now I'm 33, so I'm like 8 years behind the curveball of what's cool. Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah, I'm Gucci, Jalissa 2020. All right. With that being said, now that we're off to this great start, why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Jalissa? Where are you from? Why did you join Europe? And what is a fun fact about you?
Um, I'm from the Heights.
Hmm.
Um, I joined Europe because I it was recommended to me by my college counselor in high school, but also I just didn't know what I was going to do next, and I wasn't planning on going to college right away.
Hmm.
And I've always been interested in technology, so I decided why not? It's an opportunity, so I
Hmm.
took.
Love it.
And then something fun or a fun fact about me is that I like to sing and dance.
Oh, awesome. Do you have a particular like genre of music that you enjoy singing?
I really like R&B.
Okay, cool. And a particular type of dance that you like?
Hip hop.
Hmm. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Thanks so much for sharing. So, what is a question that you want to ask to our group?
Mm, what is one thing you cannot live without right now?
I love that question. All right, so in the chat box, what is one like you're talking like a tangible item, like one like not, yeah,
Yeah.
one thing you can't live without. All right, and what is yours, Jalissa?
I hate to be that person, but my phone.
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna say the same thing. That's mine as well. I hate to be that person, but every night before I go to bed, I look at my phone. Every morning when I wake up, I look at my phone. It's like literally sitting right here next to me right now, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's real. The struggle is very real. There's actually a product out there. It's called the Light Phone. Are you familiar with this? Okay, so what it is you should check it out. It's like 150 bucks, and what it is it's like like a very simple like old school phone, but it's like the size of a credit card, and you connect it to your iPhone. So your iPhone can actually stay home, and you just bring the simple phone, the light phone, with you. Um, and then like all you can get is text and phone calls, and that's it. So no for social media. Like it's actually pretty cool. All right, let's see here. Christian also says phone, Manny phone and coffee, electronics and food, my crystals, eggs, electronics in general, my stuffed animal, my games, my dog, my PS4, my dogs. Eric, did you see me try to get in before? I don't know why you can't live without that. So, anyways, I don't know, Eric. I have to go back and look, but thanks for letting me know. All right, so these are things that we can't live without. All right, so once again, I know I say it every class, but I want to remind you the only person who can interrupt me today is Miss Lopez, our assistant instructor. So she'll keep an eye on the chat box and people raising their hands as we go through today's lesson. So, first things first, project management is really important to always refresh ourselves on what we did yesterday, what we're doing today, and what's some of our challenges. So, let's start off with the first question. What did we talk about yesterday in the chat box? What was our conversation around? Who can remind us of what we talked about during project management class yesterday? in the chat box. Go ahead and populate it. Yep, we did a plus delta about mod 1. Thank you, Rahul. What else did we discuss? What is project management? Thank you. What other topics did we cover? Why should you be a project manager? Why it's important. The 5 steps of a PM role. Thank you, Amadul. How to manage a budget. All right. What Amadul says, I want to spend some time dissecting. So the 5 steps of project management, also called a life cycle. And the next thing I want to talk about is what a project is and isn't. Actually, let's do that first. Chelsea, can you unmute yourself and explain in 15 seconds what's the difference between a project and not a project?
Sure. So what isn't a project? Simple tasks, regular routine things, short meetings to discuss routine things. What is a project? Things that sometimes are collaborations that have a set goal and time period to get that done. Things with multiple steps that you have to reach out to others and have them come to you with separate individual pieces to make the project come to its completion. Just, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Chelsea. So there's tasks, which are just day to day. I'm checking my email. I'm doing a meeting. I'm teaching this class. I'm clocking in. I'm filling the blank. And there are projects which always have a timeline, typically require cross collaboration. There's a clear start date and end date. That's a project. In your work life, you're going to have both of those things. You're going to have everyday tasks and you're going to have projects. So it's good to know the difference between the two. All right. Back to Amadul's comment. There are 5 steps in project management, often called a life cycle. What is step number 1 in the chat box? Who remembers from yesterday? David Torres, initiation. David, unmute yourself and tell us what is initiation.
The initiation is a goal that you want to achieve in a project.
Yep. So basically it's just saying like, this is like the idea, the goal, the problem you want to solve. That is the first step. Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. What is step number 2? Ashley Gavin, she knew what I was going to say before I said it. Man, Ashley, you were on the ball. What is planning? Why is that? What is that in project management?
It's like the route that you're going to take and like how much you're going to spend and how long it's going to take.
Absolutely. Ashley Gavin, you're the best. You got it spot on. So you have the idea. What do I want to do? Now it's the how much is going to cost? How long is it going to take? Who's going to be on the team? All right, let's see who remembers number 3. You have the initiation, the planning, and then it's the most important step. Remember this one. Amadul, execution. Thank you so much, Amadul. What is execution in project management?
It's like having the mindset of actually doing what you're planning to do.
Absolutely. And let me do a follow-up question, Amadul. If you just have initiation and just have planning and never execute, what's the problem with that?
You'll never be able to like finish it.
Yeah, it never gets done. Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, it's just an idea at that point, right? An idea without a plan is just a dream. You can write that down and stick it on your fridge. So an idea without a plan is just a dream. And then the next one is, remember what number 4 is? The project is going now, and now you're monitoring. Exactly, Hannah. What is monitoring in project management?
Is that for me?
Yes, ma'am.
So monitoring is just like staying on track of it. So it's part of your organization and planning. You're just making sure that everybody stays on track, that things are getting done in a timely fashion, and you guys are completing all your goals and requirements.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hannah. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right. So you have the initiation, you have the idea, what problem are we going to solve? What project are we going to do? You do the planning, you do the execution, you start getting the ball rolling, but you want to make sure, and Mohammed used the right word as well, it's monitoring, controlling, making sure you're staying on the correct timeline, you're staying on task, you're staying on budget, you're staying within the scope of work, which we'll talk about at a later date. And then there's one final step. Who remembers what the final step is? David Torres says closing. Luis, closing. Luis, what is closing in project management?
Closing and project management. It's like succession. That's like success. I don't know how else to describe it as.
No, yeah, no, that's a good way to look at it. You have sort of what they call in project management. It's called a post-mortem. I particularly don't like that term because it's kind of morbid, but you just have a conversation on like what went well, what can we do better. Europe is very good at this with our plus deltas. Yes, enjoying the results. It's a celebration. It should be a high level meeting, but it's saying, okay, this project is now done. Okay, now what can we learn from this experience? So that's the closing. And that's a really critical piece as well, because you just don't want to finish a project and then that's it, never talk about it again, but you want to go back and learn from what you experienced during the results. So with that being said, we're actually going to start off class today by watching a short 10-minute video. So I just popped it into the chat, and we're going to come back here at 9:52. So go ahead and go off camera, watch the video, and prepare to talk about it here in about 10 minutes. Thanks. All right, folks, it's 10:52. Please go ahead and put yourself back on camera if you're able. And go ahead and put into the chat box a takeaway from the video you just watched, and we'll go ahead and discuss it in more detail. Majida says you should always ask questions. Majida, do you mind unmuting yourself and sharing why is asking questions so important in project management?
Yeah. So stakeholders that constantly have they have so many more, like they have other meetings going on and they're constantly being put into different projects. So they're taking care of different things as well. So they have so much information coming from everywhere that as a project manager as well, you're dealing with other things as well. So like having all those information and whatnot, like being able to retain it is very difficult. But in the process, you always have to make sure that the project that you're working on, for example, the stakeholders, you have to constantly ask them questions in order to make sure that the project that you're working on is going the way they want it to go in, because they're investing their money, and it's most likely a lot of money that they're investing, and they want to be reassured that wherever their money that's being invested is being used, is being of good use and properly.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Majida. And one of the terms that Majida used a few times, and I see it on here as well by several different people, is the word stakeholder. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about a stakeholder. What is a stakeholder and why is it such a critical term in project management? So let's go ahead and take a look here. Why don't we hear from Jesus, you said stakeholders fund a project, making them the owners. Do you mind speaking more to that? What does that mean?
Yes. So basically, stakeholders, right? They're not your average. I mean, they are your average people, right? But not everybody's a stakeholder. They typically fund the project, right? Making them owners. And they're also, how would I say this? They're yeah, sorry, I forgot my thought already.
It's okay. Yeah, not a problem at all. And thank you so much. And the thing I want to clarify to Jesus' statement, he's correct. The people who sponsor the project are called project sponsors, and they certainly are stakeholders. We're going to talk about that, but they're not the only stakeholders. People that are on a project team are also stakeholders. People who are going to benefit from the product are also stakeholders. But the project sponsors, I mean, they're definitely the ones who have the most skin in the game, because to Majida's point earlier, they're investing typically a lot of money to seeing this project come to fruition. Yes, Moses, you have your hand up.
We're going to say stakeholder is someone who takes interest or part of in the company.
Yes, absolutely. And I see that Ashley Ross says, I forget the difference between a stakeholder and a shareholder. Yeah, Uzman, do you want to unmute yourself and explain the difference?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
So a shareholders any Facebook is on a public platform. So any one of us could just go on Robinhood, E-Trade, and become a part of the Facebook family just by buying a share of Facebook. Means you technically own like a part of Facebook, while a stakeholder is like us, in Year Up. Like it's like we want Year Up to succeed because means we will succeed. Like we are dependent on their success. So we don't own anything of Year Up, but we are depending on their success. We want them to succeed.
Yes, thank you so much. And one of the things that I really like about a lot of big tech companies is they use that language. They actually don't like to say shareholders. They'd like to say, if you're investing in our company, like we want you to be a stakeholder, because Usman hit the nail on the head. Like we want you to be invested in this, not because you want to make a few dollars, but because you care about the success of our company. We want you to be a shareholder. So like, for example, like let's say New York City builds a new subway line, right? Who's the stakeholders? Well, I mean, a lot of people, the MTA, the governor, the mayor of New York, the people that live near where the train line is going to be built, people that are going to ride that train line. They're all stakeholders, but we're not all shareholders. Like I don't own anything in MTA. All I own is a Metro card that I haven't used in 8 months, right? That's about it. So that's the difference between the two, but it's a really tricky thing to distinguish, Ashley, particularly for those of you who are in IT, because a lot of tech companies are starting to use those terms interchangeably. But shareholder, typically, yes. I go on my Robinhood app, and if I buy $100 worth of stock in Delta, I'm now a shareholder in Delta, right? But if I just use Delta Airlines to fly, I'm a stakeholder in Delta because I care about it, gave it to me where I need to go on time back when I used to, fly a lot for quite a bit. So yeah, really, really good question. Definitely can be complicated, but I'm glad that you asked. So let's go ahead. Any more comments on here? Knowing who your stakeholders are, communication seems to be a common thread. Manny, why is communication so important in project management? Like, why is it probably, I would say, the most critical skill?
Just like as my fellow colleagues were saying about the stakeholder and everything. So if you have questions about your own company or how to manage events, how you don't know your budget, how you don't know what's going on, if you don't if you don't ask questions, you don't communicate with your stakeholders and everything, then what's the whole point of having it? It's all gonna go to the downgrade.
Yes, thank you so much. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and transition to our PowerPoint for the day. So I'm going to be relying on Jalissa for some support on this. My computer, I don't know what happened. It just was mad at me. Or in my first class, it was not working well. So hopefully we won't have a similar issue, but let's go ahead and start off by asking a question, and you can put in the chat box. What do you think prompts the need for a project? All right. If you had to just sum it up in one word, I actually used the word earlier, so maybe you caught it. But in work, it's oh, we need to do this project. What normally is the reason for that? What normally prompts the need for a project? In the chat box, what do you think? Don't overthink it. I promise it's not that hard.
Eric,
yep.
Ashley had a question.
Mm-hmm.
All the way on the top, she asked, what's the best productivity app in your opinion for project management communication?
Yeah, I think the best one that I've seen is Monday.com. And I also am a big fan of Slack. I have Slack on my phone, and I think that's a great one. But in terms of project management, Monday.com I think is the best. But there's so many out there. It's kind of like using Zoom. There's Zoom, there's Google Meet, there's Microsoft Teams, there's Skype. I mean, they all more or less do the same thing. It's just a matter of preference. And there's a variety of project management apps out there as well. Trello is another one that's very popular, but they more or less do the same thing. It's just really what your team chooses to use. But it's a good question, Ashley. So what prompts the need for projects, everybody, is a problem. There's a problem we need to solve. Some of the problems are here. So here are a couple of major ones. I love to talk about the last one, market demands. So for example, Domino's Pizza, some of you know, some of you don't, you might be too young. But 10 years ago, Domino's Pizza was not so popular. Okay. Like if you were with your family, like let's order a pizza on a Friday night. It was like, all right, Papa John's or Pizza Hut. Like that was like where you went to. And Domino's was really struggling. They had like a very small percentage of the market share. Like I know we live in New York and we have like the best pizza in the world. Most of us probably don't order from chains, but if you do, like if you're ever out at an Airbnb, like in upstate New York, and it's like Domino's or Chinese, like this is kind of what we're thinking about. So what Domino's decided to do was they said, let's change our whole entire business model. And like, we're going to still sell pizza, but we're not going to sell just pizza. We're going to sell like different chicken dishes and salads and all that. But not only that, the biggest change that they made is they really became like an e-commerce company. They recognized about 10 years ago, you know, people are on their phones. They have smartphones, they have apps. What would happen? And if we like made this really beautiful website where when you ordered your pizza, you'd actually like see like this really cool graph, like showing your pizza get made, and it would have like special effects and lights and all that kind of stuff. Anybody ever use that, by the way? I used to. I thought it was like super cool. I was like more interested in that than actually eating the pizza. I just wanted to watch it get made. But one of the things that they did is they had a team that said, you know what, we need to change our business model. And they did a big project and a big push to become more of an e-commerce company. So that's an example of a major project meeting market demands. The other one, the top one I want to hit on is sometimes you have to do a project because of government changes. So like we're living through that right now as an organization, and a lot of our companies here in New York are as well, as COVID-19 really impacted our city, as they had to move, a lot of companies had to move their physical offices to remote. I mean, a huge project, a huge undertaking to streamline that. So those are some examples of different problems that happen that require project management. So really important, I encourage you to write this down or take a picture with your phone, is that every project starts with a problem. You know, the first step in project management is initiation. Typically, it's like, I have to do this because something's not working. You know, we can do this better. We can do it faster. We can save money. We can cut costs. We can comply with the government. We can, you know, fill in the blank. So I'll give you like a really simple case study. Thankfully, it's pretty quiet today. But my apartment right now is my building is completely covered in scaffolding, because I live in a 100-year-old building and they have to, you know, fix some things. And I don't know enough about it to really make a judgment about what they're doing, but they put scaffold around my building like 6 months ago. And pretty much every weekday from like 8 in the morning till about 6 at night, they're out there working, and it's very loud and it's very frustrating. But you know, it's a project they need to do because they need to get us up to code. If not, then we're going to get fines, and I don't want to pay fines in my maintenance fees. So as a result, we have that. It's a problem. Your building's not up to code. So that's exactly how projects start, with a problem. So then you have these folks. All right, this team. The bottom one there, project sponsor. Could someone raise your hand and tell me what you think a project sponsor is, or what you found out in your reading or your research? What does that person do? What's their role in a project team? Yes, Andre.
I believe it is to fund the project.
Absolutely correct, Andre. Thank you so much for speaking up. The project sponsor is the person who funds the project. They're the ones who put the money out there upright. So that is a primary stakeholder. To the point earlier that Jesus made, is that see how like the big circle is all the stakeholders. The project sponsor is part of that circle, followed by the project manager. This would be the person that has a really important job. This is why project managers make $100,000 plus a year, because you're liaisoning between the project sponsor, the person with the money, the project management team, the project team, and the project stakeholders, everybody that's going to be impacted by that project. You have to really make sure your communication skills are sharp. You have to be okay with, you know, being asked a lot of questions, be able to manage multiple priorities at the same time. And it was asked earlier, what's the difference between a project management team and a project team? So an example of that might be, let's suppose you're renovating your apartment. You're the project manager and you're also the project sponsor. All right. Then you hire a contractor and his team to, you know, manage the day-to-day, you know, tasks of the renovations. Like, you still want to be the person kind of in charge of everything, but you've delegated that to a team, and then they subcontract people. That's the project team. So you have that person who comes in for 4 hours and all they do is fix a pipe. Like that's the project team. They're the ones that do the actual physical work. In the corporate world, we call that an IC, an individual contributor. So if you're a person who doesn't have a team that you manage, you're an IC. That just means that you have your function that you do, and then that's it. And who are the stakeholders? Like I said earlier, anybody who's impacted by that project. So that's an important graph that I encourage you to go back and reference throughout our time in project management. All right. So once again, the sponsor really has a lot of authority. They're the ones who provide the financial resources. They're the ones that, you know, really are critical in making sure the project gets off the ground. You as a PM need to make sure you keep this person updated on what's going on. And project scope and project charter, if you don't know what those terms mean yet, don't worry, we're going to get to those later. But really, this is the person who's funding the whole thing, the project sponsor. So let me ask you a question. You can put it in the chat box, and Jalissa can help me out. So they want to build a new train line in New York City. Who is the project sponsor in the chat box? Knowing the definition, the person who pays for everything, they're building a new train line in New York City. Who is the project sponsor? In the chat box, who do you think? All right. So did anybody say anything, Jalissa, or no? They did. Okay. I don't know why my thing's not working. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
There's multiple different answers. There's MTA. A lot of people are saying the city, the people. Yeah, there's a variety of different answers.
Great. Thank you. So the answer for that is the city and or state of New York would be the project sponsor, which really we as tax-paying New Yorkers are the project sponsors. Like our tax dollars go towards that project. The city and state of New York choose how to delegate our funds. And they would say, we need a new train line. Therefore, we are the ones that are going to be paying for that. So the project manager, Jalissa already said it. This is the person who makes sure the project is executed on time and on budget. This is the MTA. New York City Transit. So that's who is the project manager. So what happens is it's decided we need a new train line. We're going to fund it with the taxpayers' money. The city decides that, the state decides that. I think the state in New York does that. And then, you know, who's going to manage it? Well, of course, New York City Transit is going to manage it. So they're going to be making sure that, you know, everything is up to speed. They do all this. It stays on budget. It stays on track. No pun intended, LOL. And they're the ones who are in charge of the daily operations. All right, that's the project manager, New York City Transit. All right, last question. Project stakeholders, anyone who's impacted by this new train line. So in the chat box, who are the project stakeholders when there's a new train line being built in New York City? Take a moment to populate that. And Jalissa, when you're ready, you can tell me what some of the answers are.
So there's a few interesting answers.
Okay.
Somebody said the rats. Usman said the rats.
Yeah, it's a new home for the rats, of course. They're big stakeholders.
But yeah, most people are saying the commuters, anyone who commutes, the people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Everybody who will use that train line. And even one step beyond that, like what if you live on the street that they're building the train line on, but you don't use the train because you drive? Are you still a stakeholder? Yeah, because Andre's nodding his head yes, because it's impacting your life. You're going to hear the drilling. You're going to hear the construction. It's going to affect the price of your neighborhood. There's a lot of things that, you know, involve you when stuff like that happens. So who are the stakeholders? Everybody who rides that train, everyone who lives around that train. And of course, yeah, my bank account, Manny says, everybody. The street closing is to take a different route. The people have to move out. Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of stakeholders when something like building a new train line comes in. Thankfully, New York City Transit only builds a new train line like once every 40 years. So it's not a super common occurrence. At least it feels that way. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it's not, it doesn't seem very often that I've seen new train lines get built. But then again, I've only lived here for 6 years. Maybe I'm wrong. You can tell me. Did they finish the one by 96? I'm not sure. Ashley Ross, does anybody know? Manny knows. Yep. Thank you. Awesome.
You're not wrong, Eric.
I'm not wrong. It's like every 40 years a new train shows up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. So with that being said, it's 11:10. Why don't we take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back and do our breakout for the day. All right, folks. See you at 11:15. All right, everybody. It's 11:15. I see everybody has very strong opinions about train lines and where they should be. I'll tell you one thing, the 7 train line in Hudson Yards, the end of it, it's really beautiful. Have you ever been to that train station? It's amazing. So, and then what's the one down Wall Street, like the Oculus, like that's really nice too. It's like, oh, I feel like we actually are living like the future with all these, modern train stations. I want to go. Yeah, so do I, Hannah. We should have like a class trip to the Edge. What do you think? That'd be so much fun. We all wear a mask, we'll all social distance. So let's take a moment to see how we pay $275 and a train looks horrible. By the way, I was going to tell you, Manny, I just ordered my lunch on Seamless and Chuck E. Cheese now delivers to me on Seamless. So was that your doing? Is that your project?
No, actually, we've been delivered. It's just that now, if you went for a cheaper price, it's better if you call and pick it up because you pay $10 for the large pizza.
Okay. See, Manny tells me the
instead of paying $14, $16, and it's $2 for. By the way, I'm not being paid for sponsoring Chuck E. Cheese, so I'm gonna come manage it and ask for a raise because I'm sponsoring right now. So.
You are, man. I saw on my phone. I was ordering my lunch when you guys were in your breakout, and I was like, "All right, Manny, I see what you did there. I got Chuck E. Cheese on Seamless." I don't know why Chuck E. Cheese on Seamless is gentrification, Pablo. It's not artisanal pizza. It's Chuck E. Cheese. Come on, dude. All right. Anyways, Moses, you had your hand up. I want to make sure I honor that. Do you have a question or a comment, Moses?
I was just gonna say, what if they connect Queens and Brooklyn to the Bronx?
Yes.
Manhattan.
Thank you. I couldn't agree more. It's so crazy. Like, why don't they have a train line from the Bronx to Queens and then into Brooklyn? That'd be amazing. Like, I got a really good friend who lives in East New York, Brooklyn. You know how long it takes me to get to visit him on a train? I'm like, dude, I love you, but I'm not gonna spend 2 hours on a train to visit you. Like, let's just do a Zoom or meet up in Union Square or something. Anyways, oh, the beautiful train stations are okay. I thought you were saying Eric can get Chuck E. Cheese delivered to him on Seamless. It's gentrification. I'm like, I don't know, bro. That's a stretch. There's still no yoga studios or artisanal cafes. Yeah, East New York is out there. It's deep. I went to visit him one time and I was like, wow, you live on Long Island, bro. Like, you don't live in Brooklyn. He's like, no, man, it's Brooklyn. I was like, nah, man, this is far. Anyways, I'm getting very distracted. Let's go ahead and get into our breakouts here in a moment. Here is your breakout task. Pick a project, any of these that you would choose. You can either have building a new bridge from Brooklyn to Jersey. I like the idea. Maybe you want to build a train from the Bronx to Brooklyn. You can create a how to succeed manual for incoming participants. A year up, you can renovate your apartment, or you can do a project of your own choosing. So in the previous class, some people chose their own projects. So, and I want you to have a conversation on who is the project sponsor. I'll put this in the chat bot actually. Who is the project sponsor? Who is the project manager? And who are the stakeholders? All right. So let's go ahead and let's get him some Tims now. Oh my gosh. So let's go ahead and spend 10 minutes. All right, Ashley Ross, hold on a second. Just give me 1 second, guys. I have one already right there. Thank you, Ashley Ross. Since I'm home, you all can see it. So there we go. All right, let's take a few minutes. Let's get into our groups, breakout rooms. Everybody clear on the breakout. All right. I'm gonna let you guys go. Just quit insulting my hat. This was on sale. All right, folks. This is how you keep wealth. $5 for this puppy. American flag on the side. This is nice. You know, I need a gray brim. All right. Well, that can be my teacher appreciation gift. All right. Enjoy your breakout later.
I'm sorry, Eric. You're gonna have to be a meme. I'm sorry.
I'm
You
gonna
gotta
be
be
a
a
meme.
meme.
All right,
Yes.
girl. I look forward to seeing it. Welcome back. Sorry about the delay. My food is here, and the delivery guy doesn't know how to work my my lobby door because, you know, why would he? So I might have to leave in a second. But before we do, let's go ahead and hear from a few people about your project. Let's hear from group one, Amadul, Christian, Hannah, and Mohammed. Who was your spokesperson?
I was.
All right, Hannah, let's hear about your project.
So we chose the project of constructing a bridge between Brooklyn and New Jersey.
Cool.
And that I feel like is necessary. So our sponsors, we went with between New York City and State and New Jersey State as the two sponsors for it. I'll probably like fund it most of the time. Sorry. The project managers is gonna be the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. I found out that any what do you call it? Any connection between New Jersey and New York, like the Lincoln Tunnel or George Washington Bridge, is run by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And the sponsors, the stakeholders are gonna be commuters from Jersey and Brooklyn and the residents of Brooklyn and New Jersey as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much, group one. Let's go ahead and move to another group. Let's do group three, Neftali, Uzman, Tiana, and Zena. Who was your spokesperson in group three?
Hello, Usman. I was our spokesperson. So we kind of did the same thing as Hannah. Great minds do think alike.
Great.
So as we also agreed that our sponsors would be like the medium between the two. We don't just want one person feeling like they're paying more. And our stakeholders, anyone who's looking for faster or like a alternate, like a greener route between the two cities.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. So for group one and group three, they already both did the same project. Is there any group that chose a different project that would like to report out on what you discussed? You can Manny, you got something to share?
Yes.
We'll go Manny, then Chelsea.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I know after quarantine we gained some pounds, but due to that we decided to make a gym in Bayside, Queens. Now the sponsor is the property owner. The project manager is whatever the contractor hires. And last but not least, the stakeholders is the prospective gym members and the people in the neighborhood impacted by its construction.
Excellent. Thank you. What's your gym going to be called?
Be determined.
I think the name Manny's Fitness is a nice name. What do you guys think?
Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, there you go. Love it. That can be your tagline. Manny's Fitness. Have you ate too much Chuck E. Cheese? Come see us.
And get cheesy with it. Get cheesy with it.
You buy wings, you get a month free of energy drinks.
Nice.
Eggs, Monster, Red Bull, you name it. It's a month free if you only buy one order wings.
Wow, man, you're a great salesman. I'm telling you, anything that you're selling, I'm buying. All right, last but not least, Chelsea, let's hear from your team.
Okay, so my team, we decided that we would do the manual for how to succeed at Europe.
Awesome.
So our project sponsors, we said hopefully Europe, and that it's not just free work as an assignment. Our project managers would be us, the current class of Europe, this class.
Yep.
And our stakeholders would be our incoming class, the next class or two, depending on how long Europe wants to recycle our manual.
Well, I'm sure it would be a top-notch manual used for generations to come. So excellent job, team. So it looks like all of you should just, privately in your heart, say thank you to my Seamless guy who can't get into my building because I'm going to end class early and go find him. Real quick though, before we log off, Jalissa, you were a fabulous assistant instructor. Can you just go ahead and read the deliverables and then we'll go ahead and call it a class?
No problem. Do a quick Google search, watch videos, read articles, and digest 10 reasons why everyone needs to learn project management. In a list format, type those 10 reasons, put them in complete sentences, no spelling errors, into the discussion board. That's due on Monday.
Yep,
That was
due
due yesterday. Okay. No, that
2
was
days. Yeah, two days ago. Yeah, I know. I'm very confused about this week. We have class on Monday. So yes, this was due 2 days ago. So please, if you haven't done that, do it.
And tonight you have to respond to at least 2 posts by 10:59. And then for those who want to work ahead, think of an example of a project and write it out and think through the first steps of the initiation phase. And yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jalissa. Can we give her a clap for being a great assistant instructor? If you don't know what problem statement, problem goal, or objective are, we're actually going to discuss that tomorrow. But if you felt like, you know what, Eric was so kind, he's the best. He gave me 11 minutes back in my day, and you want to start tackling that right now, just go ahead and Google it. You can figure it out. You're a smart bunch. But enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and see you later. Bye.
Thanks, Eric.